well, our next guest, you know, we joke about it all the time. People in other parts of the country watch the Weather Channel and just shake their heads and say, how do people live there? But we love Arizona. It comes with some warnings, though. You got to know that these dog days of summer, you got to be able to prepare for that. And we thought it'd be a great idea to have from the City of Mesa, the fire department, the public relations officer. How about a big round of, or public information officer, excuse me. Please, a big round of applause for Mr. Forrest Smith. Forrest. Thank you. Good to have you here, sir.
Nice
welcome.
To see you. Thank you very much.
Some like it hot. Well, welcome and hook up here.
Oh, yeah, actually, I'm wireless.
Oh, you're wireless?
Oh, yeah, the guys hooked me up here.
Well,
Thank you.
Now you're just showing off. Let's get first things out of the way. Do you have a urinal cake in your car?
No.
Okay, good.
Not a bad idea.
I feel better already. Well, that's awesome, man. You know, you always hear these rumors that firemen stay in such great shape. What happened to you?
Well, the breakfast. I mean, come on.
I'm totally kidding. Look at this guy. He looks like he could carry the whole family out on his back. Good. How long have you been with the Mesa Fire Department?
13 years.
Well, good for you.
13 years, yes, and loving every minute of it. It's just been an excellent challenge, and came in from California and just was attracted, drawn to Mesa. So bypassed everything to the west, bam, right here.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a fireman, but I couldn't cook.
Yeah. Yeah, then you're done.
I know that's a big part of it. Well, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about what we can do, what the general public could do to stay in hydrated and in better shape and get through these summers.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here because we're all, as Arizonans, inherently dehydrated. And so one of the things that it's interesting because we have a lot of visitors in from Chicago. We know that Chicago leads the country as far as transplants coming in. And so one of the things that we're doing constantly is educating people who are in from out of town because they're slowly starting to acclimate to the weather here. So as locals, what we're finding is that we're so used to the weather like this. We drink our water, we drink our coffee. I drink a lot of coffee, by the way. So we're constantly drinking coffee and all these things that are diuretics. But one of the things we have to remember is you constantly have to stay hydrated because when you break it down, the body is pretty much made up of 60% water, your brain is made of 92% water, and your muscles are 75% water. So it kind of shows you how important water is, right? So I brought some examples of stuff up here.
Oh, cool. Props? Off, we're big on props.
Okay, yeah, show some props.
I'm hoping
here.
This is a prop and not, I'm not being tested.
Right, you're going to be set up here.
Maybe a steroid test or something.
What I've done here is I've got some gallon water jugs here. And what I'm demonstrating is the fact that if you take the average person who weighs about 175 pounds and you look at the amount of water, now it's early to do math, I know, but if we look at the average person and say, okay, water makes up about 60% of that person's body weight, 10 gallons right here. A gallon of water weighs about 8.3 pounds. So this 10 gallons right here pretty much represents how much water most of us have in our system. So when you think about it, just through your regular day-to-day activity, and we're not even talking about walking outside, we're talking about just sitting, you lose just around a gallon a day just through sweat, breathing, urination, all those things. So you just end up losing about a gallon right there. So one of the things that we know when it comes to dehydration is that as you're losing that water, your body starts to suffer that loss of water. So what happens is as you go through and lose that, what did I say, 92% of your brain is made up of water? So you start to lose, let's say, give a nice example right here, pour you a little bit of water.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Did you break that seal? There's nothing in that.
There's So right there we've got, would probably be considered about 2%. Now what we know is that 2% is where you start feeling that feeling of thirst. You start to feel a little bit tired, a little quench, you know, that dry feeling that you get in your mouth, sort of like what I think I have right now. But anyway, you get that dry feeling in your mouth. Okay, that's about 2% right there. Now, as your day goes on, and let's say you start doing your regular daily activities, you're going outside, we're dealing with our heat here, then we can start adding and taking away this water. As we get down to 5%, that's where we start seeing some of your body starts reacting a little more adversely. We hear it on the news all the time. People start to get a little dizzy, nauseous. They start to get what we call that altered level of consciousness because, again, 92% of the brain is made up of water. So guess what happens as you lose that water in your brain? You start to get those little signs of fatigue, altered level of consciousness. You start to behave differently, perhaps. Some of us more than others, but start to change. So we're basically talking about, as we go down to 10%, which is basically 1 gallon here. Once you get to that, that's where we start to see people dealing with issues where you go into unconsciousness. We start headed towards renal failure, and that's where it becomes, I mean, we're starting to work our way towards a true emergency. But if it stays that way, that's where you're starting to deal with somebody who is in dire straits.
Well, you know, it's amazing. I've been drinking. I feel smarter already.
Excellent.
That's the good news. The bad news is I need to go to Mike's truck now. That's
nice.
Those of you just tuning in have no idea what we're talking about. Well, I can't even imagine. I mean, we're talking about just day-to-day walking to and from the car. I can't even imagine what you guys go through. When you watch the movies, when you watch Backdraft and all those movies, and you see all the gear, how much does all that gear weigh when you fight a fire?
Well, I tell you what, we add about another prop. We add about another 75 pounds of weight. Now, if, almost show and tell time, if somebody wants to hold that, this is one of our coats, and this is just the coat itself. Now, if you see it has a lining, one of the things that we deal with is that when we sweat, say when you're working out, what's the body doing? When the body sweats, it's basically a reaction to the heat. The body releases through this heat, releases sweat to help cool down the body. Well, when we're wearing these turnout coats, that we don't have the cooling effects that you would normally have when you're sweating. So we've got a trainer here. Yeah, there's a fitness person here. So he knows, and we all know that when you're working out, some of the things we need to do is stay hydrated. Oh, I'm sorry, have you holding that?
I thought you were giving it away.
Hold it above your head for 10 seconds. Right?
Door prize.
So the idea is that you're constantly wanting to stay on top of that, because with our job, for instance, we don't have anywhere for cool air to reach and cool down our skin. And so that's one of the things that we need to know, is that when you're out and about and you're working out, especially if you're exercising, it starts the night before. Stay hydrated, try to pull back from the diuretics, and just keep a bottle of water around and just keep drinking that as you go along. And then, of course, if you're really active, then stay way ahead of it and just constantly keep drinking water.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Come on, we're right here.
Oh, no disrespect here.
What I like to do in my car, because you spend a lot of time in your car here, I have one of those big, like, gerbil bottles bouncing on my window.
That's a great idea. I think somebody should market that.
I've got those on eBay. Well, that's awesome. Now, I can tell you work out a lot. Do you jog?
Yeah, you know, I just started jogging.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I have to do this. Do people cheer, run, Forrest, run when you're doing that?
That's a good one. I don't think I've heard that one before.
Sorry, it was teed up. I had to do that.
Alley-oop.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by and tell us a little bit about what you do. Now, you told me before the show started, you told me that you had kind of a career fire a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, everybody probably saw the smoke down there off near Country Club and Baseline, and that was actually in the town of Gilbert. And what we had was a 6-alarm fire, and what happened there is what we call automatic aid in its full effect there, where you basically had 6 different fire departments all come together to fight this fire. Now, it happened to be a hot day. I think we were looking at about 110 that day. Wow. And so we had 6 departments represented there, all coming together. It was just interesting that Channel 5 News had stopped by earlier that day to do a piece on hydration. And so the reporter happened to be there, and all of a sudden the tones go off, and he says, well, let me just ride and follow you guys. And sure enough, he got right there first on the scene. So one of those things that we want to just have everybody identify with what we deal with there is that when your personal lives, it's just a matter of staying hydrated, and you'll find that that leads to a healthier lifestyle. And we know that there's a lot of positive effects on drinking water on a regular basis.
That's awesome. Well, we really appreciate you stopping in, and thanks for all you do. Thanks for being one of the heroes that makes Mesa such a great place to live.
Well, thank you. We appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate the business community's support, and especially our citizens here. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks, Forrest. Big round of applause, Mr. Forrest.
Thank you.